Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I have a little bit of downtime lately. I do have a bunch of new stuff coming in, but a lot of it's being held up in customs. So I figured it'd be a good idea and take a look at some older figures, and plus, gotta feed that YouTube algorithm. So today we're gonna take a look at a personal favorite of mine. It's the 2015 Papo Young Apatosaurus. As many of you know, Apatosaurus is my favorite dinosaur species of all time, so I felt like it was fitting to go back and take a look at this old classic figure, and this is one of my favorite Papos. My favorite Papo of all time is still their Acrocanthosaurus, but this one right here is at number 2. And plus, it's good to go look back at Papo since, the last couple of years they haven't done anything. No figures last year. They revealed a couple figures coming out this year, but, as a community, we weren't really that impressed. I think the only one I get out of that is maybe the repainted Styracosaurus, because I really like that mold. Oh, that Protoceratops. Oof, still having nightmares about that. So when this Apatosaurus was revealed in 2015, it was listed as a young Apatosaurus. It still is a very sizable figure. It has a retail price around $25 to just over $30. I'll leave a couple of places you can order this figure from if you don't have one already, like Everything Dinosaur and Dan's Dinosaur. I'll just leave those links down below in the description. So let's pop this thing up on the turntable and get this review on the way. Alright, let's start with this 360-degree view of this figure. I have a giant smile on my face right now behind the camera. I love going back and taking a look at old figures. Absolutely love this thing when I go to way back in 2015, and I still love it to this day. Like I said, it's my second favorite Papo figure of all time. And I know, Papo's kind of faded away from some people's memories because they really haven't done much lately. But, this is peak Papo right here. They do such lifelike poses. Their figures are packed with so much personality. They seriously look like they stepped out of a photograph and into your hand. Their sculpts are that good, and that's why they were so popular throughout the years. We weren't getting these really lifelike sculpts from a lot of companies. Things have changed lately. It's 2022, and it's a great time to be a dinosaur collector. There's so many great companies out there, but I still love this figure. It does look a little bit odd. I think the neck is a little bit too, beefy and thick looking, but I just kind of like that shrink wrap look. It highlights all the massive vertebrae in its neck, and just love how the head is craned back, looking behind itself like it's about to get attacked by a predator. It has a very beautiful and long whip-like tail. The color scheme, it's nothing to write home about. It's just, a couple different shades of brown, but the paint applications are so nicely done on this figure. Just a lot of nice washes and dry brushing. It has a very lifelike look to it, and all the folds and wrinkles look great. It's not a super stocky looking sauropod. You can see the shoulder blades, the pelvis, and the backbone, but it does have a nice beefy quality to it. And like I said, just absolutely dig this figure. All right, let's just do a couple quick measurements. This figure, if you measure along the curve of the neck and curve of the tail, is just over 18 inches long and just about 5 inches tall to the highest point of the neck. So Apatosaurus in real life is estimated between 69 and 75 feet long. So I'll put this figure somewhere in the 145 to the 150 scale range. All right, let's zoom and take a look at some of the finer details on this figure, starting with the head. The head shape is pretty good for what we know what an Apatosaurus skull looks like. You can see there are nostrils sculpted in on the top of the head. With current understanding, paleontologists believe the nostrils are a little bit further down on the skull. You can see the eye is painted in orange with a black pupil. It's really, really hard for the camera to pick up on, but you can see some nice fine scale details all over the head. Those little peg-like teeth are painted nice and white. And then going inside the mouth, let's get Mr. Camera to focus in on that. You can see the tongue is painted in pink, has some nice detail on it, and there is some detail on the roof of the mouth. Like I said, Papo does a great job of making their figures look so lifelike, and I just love all the personality that oozes the sculpt on this Apatosaurus. And then going down to the neck, you see the neck is very wide and deep, and you can see each vertebrae poking out. Even on the top right here, you can see the top of the neck vertebrae poking out of the skin. So it has a very shrink wrap look to it, but also has a very beefy and muscular look at the same time, if that makes any sense. And just the way the vertebrae poke the side of the neck. I remember there was some artwork of Apatosaurus someone did, I saw it a while ago. They hypothesized that Apatosaurus had like these bony bosses that protruded out of the neck to use in combat, and it kind of reminds me of that. And I actually like how big and like exaggerated the neck is on this figure. It just makes it so unique compared to most of the other sauropod figures in our collection. You can see all it's a lot of brown paint on here, but it is beautifully applied. Lots of different shading. There's dry brush on there and washes to give it a very lifelike look. You have all these nice folds and wrinkles on the neck, and I just love. I keep saying it. I really love how the neck look. It's just so fat looking with this tiny little head. It's just so ridiculous. I love it. Now going down to the main body, you can see a little bit more shrink wrap. You can see the shoulder blades and pelvis, but it's really not that bad. Not as bad as some of PNSO's older sauropods. Man, those things look like they needed a few cheeseburgers in their diets. But you can see all that beautiful paintwork and folds and wrinkles. This all comes together so nicely, gives it such a lifelike quality. It actually reminds me of the sideshow Dinosaur Apatosaurus with like the color scheme on it and just like the detail. And now going down to the front legs, you can see the front legs are pretty accurate. The toe claws are covered in skin except for the thumb claws being exposed. Nice and muscular looking with all those folds and wrinkles. Turning the underside, you get some nice large folds and wrinkles for the belly area. And then going down to the feet. Even the other side of the feet have some nice detail on them. You can see some paint wear on this figure. Like I said, I've had it for a while, and I am kind of terrible how I store my dinosaur figures. I kind of throw them all in those big Rubbermaid bins, so they do get banged around a lot when I'm digging through them to get figures out for comparison. And then going down to the hind feet, same thing. Very accurate hind feet. Has the correct number of claws. And then going up to the back, you can see some of those back vertebrae poking out. Now, I don't know if this is like this might be paint wear on here. Like I said, I've had this thing for a while now, but I like how the back vertebrae are nice and highlighted. And then going down to the base of the tail, nice thick muscular base to the tail, some nice folds and wrinkles. And then going all the way down to this very whip-like tail that's made out of soft plastic, so you don't have to worry about snapping this off. So yeah, I really, really love this Apatosaurus. Just the way it's looking back, it just has an extremely unique and lifelike pose, and it still remains one of my favorites to this day. Alright, moving on with comparisons, let's compare it to some other Apatosaur and Brontosaur figures from throughout the years. First up, here it is with the Collectae Brontosaurus, and next up here it is with the old Invictae Apatosaurus. And here it is with another favorite of mine, the Safari Limited Apatosaurus, which is a few years older than the Papo version. And next up, let's get this big figure into shot. Here it is with Namu's Apatosaurus, and this is why I like going back and reviewing older figures. You would never get these comparisons with figures that came out years later. If I did the review back in 2015, actually didn't even have a channel back in 2015, but you know what I mean. So it's pretty cool to see these two next to each other, and I think they pair really, really well. They both have similar color schemes, and it definitely looks like a young Apatosaurus displayed next to this massive Namu version. So yeah, this would make a great diorama display if you choose to display these two together. And now let's just do a couple other sauropod species. Here it is with Safari Limited's Diplodocus, and I think they scale pretty well with each other. And let's do one more Safari sauropod. Here it is with their Camarasaurus, and let's get everyone lined up just a little bit better. So yeah, I think all three of these kind of scale pretty well with each other. They actually do look good on a display shelf. You want to show the different sizes between sauropod figures. And now let's move on to some Papo comparisons. Let's compare it next to the OG trio of Papo figures that came out way back in the day. Here it is with the Triceratops. Here it is with their Velociraptor, the brown version, which is quite rare now. And here it is with still one of my favorites, the green standard T-Rex. This is one of the things that got me really big back into dinosaur figure collecting when I was older. So yeah, it looks nice with the original three, and man, Papo was like the original Namu, just making unofficial Jurassic merchandise, and their figures still hold up to this day. And let's do it with a Morrison formation buddy. Here it is with the Papo Stegosaurus, and another Morrison formation dinosaur. Here it is with Papo's Massive, massive Brachiosaurus. I miss when Papo used to release big figures like this. I really hope they can find themselves in the next year or two and give us some really stellar products. I know the playing field is very crowded now, and that's a good thing. It forces other companies to be better and some other companies to go away. I hope Papo doesn't go away. I do like their products, but they definitely need to do some more work to compete with the very crowded market right now. And lastly, for comparisons, here it is with Papo's Allosaurus, and these two figures were meant to be displayed next to each other. Like I said, Papo does very lifelike poses, and just the way this Apatosaurus has its neck crane with its mouth open roaring to defend itself from a predator, and just the way the Allosaurus is sculpted, it looks like these two are about to square off. So I'm sure a lot of people have both these figures displayed on the shelves exactly like this. So final thoughts on the Papo Young Apatosaurus. For a figure that's around 7 years old, it still holds up in my eyes. I still really love this thing. It's not a perfect Apatosaurus. Like I said, the neck is really wonky looking. It's very thick and deep, and it kind of looks weird to some people, but I really like it. I like seeing how all each individual neck vertebrae is sculpted, like poking through the skin, and there's a lot of nice muscle detail in the figure. It has that plain brown color scheme, but the way it's applied, it makes the figure look very natural and lifelike. And like I said, Papo, back in the day especially, they were great, giving their figures a lot of personality and character with their very lifelike poses, and this Apatosaurus is a perfect example of that. So in short, I do recommend this figure. It's a fun figure to add to your collection. It has a very dynamic pose to it. And like I said at the beginning of the review, I'll leave a couple links down below in the description to a couple retailers if you still haven't added this figure to your collection. So that would do it for the review. I'll probably do a couple more older dinosaur figure reviews over the next week or two until all my new stuff comes in. I'm still waiting on the PNSO Styracosaurus. They just showed off their Zuchang Tyrannus, and that hasn't gone up for order yet. Usually it goes up for order, I think, on a Friday or Saturday after they reveal a new figure. So I'll definitely be ordering that as soon as that's available. And I actually have the Namu Baryonyx pair coming in. A little late on that one. I really like the set, but at the time, I just didn't want to spend the money on it. But, sold some figures from other stuff I collect, so I had some extra money, so I ordered that. That should be here really soon. So be on the lookout for all those reviews, and as always, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, show your support by hitting that subscription button just below the video. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously, and it's greatly appreciated, and I'll see you guys for the next one.